Hi, welcome to the 12th House, a podcast where we talk about the intersection of well-being, intuitive business, and spirituality, drink with a sense of humor. I'm Michelle Pelazon, the head witch in charge of Holisticism.
Hello, and I'm Wallace, your co-host for Friday.
Yay! We've been talking.
Well, yeah, we do a lot of that.
So we just started our series on meaning-making systems, and we've been talking a lot about systems just in general at Holisticism. And we kind of wanted to bring up something that's a little personal for both of us, which is ADHD and systems and meaning-making. Wallace, what's your experience with ADHD?
I'm technically not diagnosed. I do have an appointment to take a test.
It's a very long test. Apparently.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to sit through it. Like, I quit. Yeah, I've avoided getting tested, but I've had multiple therapists, multiple significant others who I've lived with tell me, you probably have it. And I think my mom has it. My brother definitely has it and has been figuring out ways to work with it, not against it, for most of his life. So it's been really cool to witness him go through it. And now I'm kind of coming around to feeling less shame about it and more acceptance of, okay, if this is something that I have, how can I make things easier for myself versus beating myself up and being shameful that I can't do certain things that seem easier for other people?
Yes, I think that's like the biggest revelation is that, oh, this is easy for other people. And like, it's okay that it's not easy for me. Doesn't mean I'm stupid.
Or maybe it's not even easy for other people, but they manage to do it.
Easier.
Yeah. Easier.
Yeah. I've talked to so many women in particular and non-binary people over the last year who have been diagnosed in their 30s, in their early 30s or late 20s with ADHD or ADD. And depending on what TikTok algorithm you're on, you've probably like seen some potentially, if you have ADHD, you've seen those TikToks. I know quite a few people who have been diagnosed after like watching TikTok and going to their doctor, and their doctor's like, oh yeah, that's definitely you. Like, you 100% have that.
Which can be really affirming.
Yes.
Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, because TikTok said blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, actually, sometimes you need something to feel seen and to feel recognized.
Yeah.
In order to take the next step to take care of yourself.
And it's crowdsourcing information that isn't available to people all the time, especially people who are not, like 6-year-old boys who are diagnosed with ADHD because they can't sit down and are running all over the house and like throwing cats out windows, just impulsive as fuck. That was the first thing that came to my brain. Like, yeah. But, ADHD shows up so differently for so many people. And
it's like, women, you're just hysterical.
Yes. Or like
emotional, hormonal.
Yeah, totally. Or lazy, or you're just dumb, or actually, I feel like 90% of the people that I know who have ADHD are super high achievers, and they've pretty much just created a system, like these insane systems for themselves to make sure that things don't fall through the cracks. They just can't do something casually because that's just not how their brain works.
Like, you have 4 emails? I do.
Do normal people not have that?
I think by now.
And I don't think they do.
Really?
I don't think people have.
No, you have like a newsletter email, a junk email, a personal email, and then
the porn email?
No. I wish I was that cool. No. The other one is like extra spam. Like
oh, like newsletters from the Gap or something?
Yeah, where you're like, well, I had to make another account yet again. So, I don't know. I have 4 emails. 5 if you include work.
Oh my God. Yeah, I feel like that's actually such a good example of an ADHD person potentially creating too many containers, right?
I think it works for me.
Okay, great. I'm glad it works for you. That's great. But we wanted to talk about this because we're talking about meaning-making systems and how we see the world through meaning-making systems. Like, that's what our brains want to do is create meaning around everything that we see to make sense of it so we can be like grounded on this planet. And the best meaning-making systems free you and liberate you. And at their worst, meaning-making systems feel like a toxic cult that is like inhibiting everything around you, whether that's like from the spiritual perspective where you feel just like burnt out and like it's not helping you, or even from
Kundalini.
I cannot do Sat Kriya for 99 minutes. I'm not going to do that.
It's not a system for people with ADHD.
No. Or people who hate rapists. It's probably not for you.
There you go.
Fighting words. Yeah. And from a more sort of like grounded perspective, if we take meaning-making systems out of it from the spiritual realm, we need systems in order to function in the world. What meaning-making systems do you feel like really work for you? Because at their best, meaning-making systems like make your life easy and help you make sense of things. And it feels seamless and like there's no resistance. And at their worst, they're like, Kundalini, where you're just like, okay, I can't do this for 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, you brought up to me that people with ADHD are always seeking dopamine hits. So you're putting yourself in extreme situations. Maybe you're ODing on caffeine. It's like constant struggle with caffeine, your relationship, or maybe you're impulsive or take a lot of risks because you're always kind of seeking what I would always just be like, oh yeah, I need a lot of stimulation in my life. I know that about myself, but I never thought about it as dopamine hits. And with Kundalini, you do get it high off of it.
You definitely get high.
If you do it long enough. And so that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
But I was like, this takes way too long to get there, so it doesn't work for me. But I don't know. I like the Enneagram. It made me feel seen and understood, but it also illuminated some of my shadow where I was like, oh yeah, that resonates. I'm a 7, and I feel some of the shadowy aspects are when I'm feeling a little bit more dysregulated and unhealthy, and it's nice to point back to them to be like, oh yeah, this is happening and I can see it now. So I can remove myself and be an observer, and you don't have to keep going down that path because you can use that system to help you get a bird's eye view of your own behavior. You can't always stop it, but it can help.
Yeah. I think the meaning-making systems that work best for me and that I really resonate with are definitely my human design when I'm less rigid about it. Just the idea that things should be easy and they can be easy, because so much is really, really hard for me. Not a lot comes naturally to me. So anything that it looks like I'm maybe doing marginally well, I feel like I have to like work twice as hard to keep up with other people. And being a projector, it gives me permission to just fall into ease with myself. And when I allow myself to do that, like things happen the way they're supposed to happen. And really, I think that just gives me more mental space to not grasp and hold on and try to be something I'm not, but to open up to just who I am and accept who I am.
Yeah.
And that actually was like the same thing when I got an ADHD diagnosis, because I have anxiety and depression. And, you know, those systems are fine to make meaning of myself through those diagnoses. It was like, okay, cool. That explains why I am this way, or I just feel this way. I've talked about depression before, but with ADHD and being medicated for it, all of a sudden, all the things that seemed antithetical to my personality, like forgetting people's birthdays, or like, I'm a pretty thoughtful, empathetic person. So to like not text my friends back feels like weird and out of alignment. To have anxiety and like snap at someone in the middle of a work day, it's just not really who I am. But because my brain was working so hard to just stay focused and like not lose my thoughts, so much of my energy was like going towards just being normal. And to get the diagnosis and understand that like, oh wow, I've spent so much of my life force like just trying to like basically be the same, look the same, and act the same as everyone else. And now I'm kind of free to work in a way that works for me, or at least tell people like, hey, you can't interrupt me in the middle of, if you interrupt me, that's fine, but we are never going to finish this project. And that's cool. But like, just know that about me. Gives me so much more freedom to just not have shame around myself. And it totally makes sense. My other meaning-making system is Notion of like how I organize myself. And I've finally found a system that works after 30 years of trying all of these things that work for other people and normal brains that just like made me feel like an idiot or useless or just like I'm incompetent.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm surprised at how much I also like Notion.
It's so interesting, right?
Because I've hated every other software that's similar.
Yeah.
I think because generally the UX is very simple.
Yes. And I would say like pretty aesthetic.
Yeah.
They definitely prioritize that. So if you're a visual learner or neuroaesthetics mean something to you, then it really helps. But I'm not an organized person. I wouldn't say that I'm an organized person. But Notion has actually helped me see that I am an organized person. I just need the right system.
Yeah. No, I would say you're organized. I think it's funny because we can all have different areas of organization in our lives too. And they all provide different things. One isn't better than the other, but I think having ADD, you often feel like every area of my life is disorganized.
Something that was so freeing for me is understanding that if there's a kink in the system, if there's an area of clutter or something's just not working, it's not because you're wrong. It's because the system's broken. Like that system doesn't work for you. So I call my clothes pile in my bedroom my dread pile because it's just like clothes that exist in the no man's land. Of like I wore them for 40 minutes and then I took them off because I went to bed. And it would infuriate Ethan. I mean, he was very kind about it because he's Ethan, but he'd be like, do you want to put the clothes away? Do you want to wash them? Like, what are you doing with them? And I'd be like, no, I'm going to use them later. And then I realized like, oh, wait, this system doesn't work. So I need to find a new system for this. The clothes don't go into the closet because the closet's too far away. So I need to fix something with this system instead of trying to change myself because.
Did you get rid of the chair?
Yeah.
I was just thinking. Yeah. With my previous partner, I would always call that chair because I had the same situation. I would call it the shit chair. Yes. And I was like, well, we need a shit chair in the room. Of course. Like, there needs to be one.
Right.
And he was like, no, what if we just didn't have the chair? What would you do? I was like, oh. I don't, he was like, would you just put them on the ground? I was like, no.
Probably not.
I would just throw them on the ground. He was like, okay, let's get rid of the chair. So when we moved, we didn't have a shit chair. And I put my clothes away. Yeah. I was like, fuck.
I moved the chair and we changed our closet situation because my closet used to be in a different room. So now I was like, I either need part of your closet, Ethan, or something else. We're going to have to install something where I can hang up my clothes. And he's like, he cleaned out his half of the closet. So,
nice.
I know. But I felt so bad about that. I felt like such a gross slob. Just like, ugh, how embarrassing. If someone opened the door to my bedroom, they'd be just like, I can't believe Michelle is like this.
Well, I was telling you I felt that way about learning. I have so many new skills that I'm always dying to pick up and learn. And I can do a decent amount on my own, but I really struggle with the like autodidact, like YouTube University. It's just hard for me because I need accountability to get things done.
Yes.
And I need deadlines.
Yes.
And I need to show up somewhere to do it. So I definitely learn more through play and being in action and going out and doing things or being live in a session. I have to put myself in those situations or else I don't learn as quickly.
Yeah, that's such a common thing with women with ADHD is we need accountability.
Yeah.
And like you said, we are looking to get a dopamine hit, right? Because we don't process dopamine the same way that an average brain would. So we need more. And things that give us dopamine is like the same things that give us anxiety often. So yeah, deadlines or really stressful work situation, continuing to put yourself in a really stressful or anxiety inducing situation where you're like, how the fuck am I doing this again? Like, why did I do this again?
Yeah.
It's because it's your brain. And I think part of it that's helpful with making systems like whether it's a diagnosis or you're understanding your Scorpio sun is that it just gives you permission to be like, oh, this is why I do this behavior.
Yeah.
I understand what I'm getting from this behavior. And so I can either make the choice to continue doing that and not beat myself up about it or say, I can get dopamine maybe from like not stressing myself out so much that I like have a panic attack. There's another way to get dopamine potentially. I just got to figure it out and find it. Maybe I just stress myself out a little bit. Just a little, tiny bit.
Just like a little too much caffeine.
Yeah.
Work out a little too hard.
Right. Or even like, is there a way I can retrain myself to get a dopamine hit that feels just as good when I check a project off of a list?
Yeah.
Instead of having an endless to-do list, which gives you dread, but that dread gives you anxiety, and that anxiety is what you need to be in action.
Right. Yeah. Oh, or acknowledging like I need accountability. So I'm going to sign up for something, pay someone, create some kind of incentive for myself. Like I owe my therapist on Thursday a art project. And I'm
going to do it on Wednesday night?
No, I actually started on the weekend.
Nice.
Because part of the project was to go and buy a certain number of new supplies.
Oh, nice.
So it had multiple parts. I'm like a kid again back at school. I'm like, I'm coloring. But it's helped a lot.
That's cool.
Because I don't want to show up to therapy with, I did nothing. That's just how I feel. I just don't want to. Some people, and that's okay if you do, because therapy's not supposed to be homework. He was like, it's fine if you don't bring anything.
Right.
But I want to do it, and I enjoy doing it when I start.
And yes, part of it is sometimes you need to work up to being in integrity for yourself. It's almost like the stepping stone to being in your own integrity is saying, well, I have to do this for this other person because I said I would.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, wait, no, I have to be in integrity with myself. And it's like the gateway drug. Yeah. Yeah,
and just knowing actually once I start, I'll feel better.
Yeah, especially with people who have ADHD, we're talking a lot about ADHD. We'll talk about more making systems, but because often hyperfocus is a part of it, it's just the sitting down. Once you get in the zone, you're in.
Yeah.
You're going to just like.
Then I'm like, don't talk to me.
Right.
How does that leave me alone? Yeah.
Now we'll take a quick break with our sponsor. This episode of the 12th House Podcast is sponsored by Open. Open is an online meditation, yoga, and breathwork studio that we're low-key obsessed with now.
We're like, who can we work with that we love? And we're lucky to be working with them because we love them and discover them on our own. I think you introduced me to them.
Yeah, I found out about Open when we were researching the best fitness and digital wellness spaces and the future of digital wellness. And I honestly kind of expected Open to be like every other meditation platform that's digital, kind of like a snooze fest, but I am obsessed with it. It's so beautiful.
That's what got me right away. I was like, I resonate with this. It's stunning.
Yeah.
I think the first class I did was a meditation class with Manoj, and his music was, killer.
Okay. Everything about it is antithetical to your typical, I don't know, incense burning yoga studio with, kind of schlubby cushions and just not fashionable. It's so chic, so aesthetic. The music's good. The teachers are incredible. And it's also so easy. There's no excuse for you to blow it off, which I really like. Anything that makes it easier for me to say yes, that sort of smooths out my resistance. And I'm so resistant to meditating and doing breath work. It's an A+ in my book.
Yeah, I personally love their breathwork classes because I like breathwork, but it can feel like an exorcism. And sometimes you don't want that at 7 a.m.
I rarely want it at 7 a.m.
Yeah, you want to actually have a gentle wake up but feel energized. And their breathwork classes are sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. It's always the right amount with the right music, the right cadence. And I've done one with Ali Maz and George Ramsey.
RVIR.
Yay, George. Yeah, every class I've taken with them has been amazing, but I particularly love their breathwork.
Yeah, I love that you can do classes on demand and you can do them live. Yeah. So I literally roll out of bed and I will either hop into a live class or I'll do a 6-minute meditation because sometimes I just can't do more. I really like doing the live classes though because you can invite a friend to do them with you and then you get to see them. You know when they join. It's so cute and you can chat with everyone else in the class in the chat box and it's just it's a non-Zoom experience. It feels like an even better experience than what you could get in a studio, which is awesome.
It ignites all the senses, and you're encouraged to do a lot of their classes with headphones, and it takes you to another place.
It does. It transports you to a new dimension for sure. And the good news is we got you a free 30-day promo, so you can go test out Open yourself and maybe join us for class. That'd be fun. The way to sign up is just click on the link in our show notes. You will get that 30-day free promo automatically applied. All you have to do is sign up and you can instantly jump into class. I would love to see you there. Pop into the Holisticism Hub and join us for class. And if you're in the cusp, we're actually going to be doing some classes together. So it's going to be fun.
Yes, it's going to be so fun. And also you have tons of options. If you can't join live, they have so many great on-demand classes. 2-minute breathwork, 5-minute,
yes,
10-minute. They have a lot of categories to choose from. So I'm just also excited to personally explore over the next little while.
Yeah, there's really no excuse not to be meditating every single day with something like Open, and I love to find an excuse not to meditate every day.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm better for it, and I'm just really, really feeling excited that Open is our sponsor. So thanks to Open, and thank you guys for supporting our sponsors. All right, let's get back into the episode. I worked at so many startups where we had all these different project management tools and software and systems, and they always fell apart.
Yeah.
You know, like people never kept up with them, and how frustrating that was and how much anxiety it caused for everyone
involved. Also, they
weren't
customizable.
Yeah.
That was like the huge annoyance of most of the ones I use is they're very much like, this is the way our program works. And you're like, sucks.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have like even an ounce of a rebel in you, you're probably like, why do I have to do this system this way? Like, why do I have to go through all these steps? At least that's how I always felt.
And then most of your time is just busy work.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that systems are good systems are the opposite of that. They should make they're the least amount of work possible, and they accelerate you like 10x. They should make it be like, they should make your work feel like you're going down an ice luge. Like you're just going so fast and like there's zero friction and it's effortless and easy, and they keep you on track.
Yeah.
And they just like shoot you down that little luge, you know?
Yeah.
Versus what they often feel like is like you're sliding down a hill or like a rocky mountain on your bare ass. Where you're just like, this hurts and it's taking so long and I gotta go slow.
Yeah.
And like, I keep running into rocks.
Yeah. And then you're like, for what? Why am I doing this?
Right. Where am I even going?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Where are we going?
So we gotta talk about maybe our hidden argument.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're talking a lot about ADHD because we both have it. And I think probably a lot of people listening, I have a theory. Do you want to hear it?
Do tell.
I think really intuitive people have ADHD because brains are meant for thinking and intuiting, not for storage. And people with ADHD do not have storage in their brains. And I think that often means that we have a huge capacity to intuit and to pull information down, maybe more than other people do. But we get sort of like hamstrung by our own lack or inability to be in action, to take those like brilliant ideas and put them into the world. Or we get so caught up trying to like be organized or like we should be good, we should do it this way, that we actually like shut off the valve to our intuition. And I don't know. I just think if you can remove the shame around how you should be and just embrace who you actually are and the truth of who you are, which might be, I make a clothes pile because I'm just like, that's who I am.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to spend so much energy trying to be something that you're not.
Yeah. I mean, I also think we do, it's a little bit of a side tangent, but I think we live in we obviously live in an unnatural world in many ways, whatever. But I think people with ADHD are often in places where they're not set up for success because they're doing a task or a job that is kind of antithetical to how their brain works.
Yeah.
And that's not to say like quit your job and like whatever. It's more of how to find systems to help you navigate this like kind of weird, unnatural 9-to-5 world that has been created.
Totally. And so many people who are entrepreneurs have ADHD.
Absolutely.
I was talking to my dad about this, who also has ADHD and was just diagnosed as a 65-year-old dude.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think the reason that I started my own business is because I couldn't work in the same, I couldn't work a regular 9-to-5.
Right.
And I know that's the truth for me. And I feel like that's probably why you like working at Holisticism, because it's not a normal 9-to-5.
Totally. No, it's like very difficult.
Yeah. It feels soul crushing. And I think that that's when meaning-making systems, like we do the rules at a 9-to-5 job, at a corporate job. This is the system that we work in. That's when it's problematic. Same thing with like spiritual systems.
Yeah.
When it's almost like dogmatic and inflexible, and you have to bend yourself to fit into the system. That's when it's like, no, just leave it. Throw the whole thing out.
Yeah. I do that every other month with human design. I come back.
Well, what month are you on now?
I'm like,
is it on your shit list right now?
Yeah. I still love it, but, well, no, it's on my shit list. I'm like, wait, no, not that much. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? My rebel comes out and I'm like, I'll do whatever I want. I don't need to do what you say, human design. Yeah.
Yeah, because it can be pretty, like, it can be rigid depending on who you're talking to.
That's true. It totally depends on the people delivering the message.
Yeah. But when you're, like, so rigid and you use so much energy to try and make something work, again, it's just kind of the opposite of how things should be. Like, things should be easy. If you're out there, like, you don't believe me, a good system should have you do way less work than you're doing. It should make everything feel seamless and easy.
And efficient. Yeah.
And you still have to work, especially if you're someone with ADHD, to keep your systems up. And sometimes they fall down, right? Sometimes they don't work for us because we trip up or we make a mistake, but they're not like just, we don't have to change and upend our entire lives and identities in order to like make our systems work, or make the systems work for us, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think I can get very flippant about like, my life isn't working, when it's just like one system that needs to change.
Right. Like what does that look like in your life?
I think very often if I'm not in a good, I don't know if this is a system example, if I'm not in a good routine with working out and sleeping, I become like very depressed very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, maybe there are things in your life that are upsetting you, but everything becomes more extreme.
Yeah.
When those things are off balance. Yeah. And then once I get those, I guess, systems of like, I don't have to do the same workout every day, but I just have to move my body, and changing the idea around working out, or same with going to bed, like instead of resisting it. I don't do it all the time, but I'll have streaks. I want to go to bed. No. What's it? Revenge. What's it? Bedtime revenge.
Yes.
Something.
Yes. Yeah. It's
syndrome.
Yeah. It's when you feel like you didn't have free time all day to like do you. So you're like, I'm going to be on the internet doing me until 2 a.m. Fuck everyone.
Yeah. It's just like digging a hole. I don't know if that's really a good example, but hold on. Let me think for a second. What was the question about systems?
Systems that you feel like when one isn't working for you and you're like, everything's fucked. And like one thing isn't working for you.
My sleep, for sure. But that's not a system. Let me think. My email's a big one.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe that's a perfectionist thing. Wait. I don't know. I don't know if there's one system that throws everything off for me. Except for if I don't move my body consistently. That's more of a habit than a system per se.
But, yeah.
I know. The podcast template.
Yeah, that's right. When it's on, it's on. When it's off.
If it's just organized, or like I need to change the like template or whatever, I depend so much on the podcast template and homepage. What do we call it?
Yeah, dashboard.
I depend so much on that dashboard. If that is out of whack, a lot would go to shit, actually.
Because there's so many moving parts to putting this podcast together that you do, that if you didn't track it somewhere, imagine how much brain space it would take up for you to remember all of those things twice a week. Like, and all the people that we have help us with it. Like, yeah,
there's a lot of people using it too. It's a hot dashboard.
It really is.
That would ruin my day, my week, my month. If it got deleted.
If it got deleted, holy shit. That'd be horrible.
That's how you know it's working for you.
Yeah. When you're like, I don't think I could live without this thing. No. I don't think that's how I feel about my calendar. That's how I feel certainly about my Notion.
My personal and work, like I use my calendar a lot to remember things, or else I would not remember half the shit.
Yeah. And you're not supposed to. Your brain, again, is for thinking. It's not for storage.
Yeah.
Like, you should use other shit for storage. So you have all your capacity to, like, use your brilliant, beautiful brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that we're constantly looking for meaning-making systems to understand the world around us, especially as the ecosystems around us change or the situations around us change.
Mm-hmm.
And we often get upended, right? Like, something that we used to believe, we don't believe anymore. And we find evidence as to, like, why it's not working for us.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing maybe with systems of, like, wow, this always used to work for me and now it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And we use meaning-making systems to understand ourselves and to embody ourselves more completely, like to give ourselves permission and acceptance to like be the fullest, most squiggly, wonderful versions of who we are. And I don't know. I think that if you're constantly seeking meaning-making systems and you're not, or like constantly trying to like stay in the admin place of making a system, of like organizing a system, as opposed to like living and being and embodying it in the world, then like you're fucking up.
Well, also, you're not leaving room for application and integration.
Yeah. Just like if you're constantly studying astrology, but you're not actually like going out and meeting people who have different charts and who are different than you, or you say like, oh, I never talk to Aries people. I can't hang out with Aries. Like, what? You're going to live your life like that?
Aries.
Yeah. Love an Aries. They're a little scary to me, but
I thrive. I get my dopamine hits from Aries.
What else do you think we should say?
I think we should transition to the Notion course.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we can transition with flexibility, like talking about being flexible and fluid, and like throwing out systems when they don't work.
Yeah.
Or adjusting them.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to throw everything out.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to think of how we could frame that up.
I kind of feel like how I feel about Notion and dashboards and stuff is kind of how I feel about clothing.
Okay. I want to hear that. Say that louder and let's get into it.
Yeah. Well, going back to Notion for a second and dashboards, because we have many and we've changed a bunch of them and we're about to change our system again.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't working for everybody. And I kind of feel it's similar to how I feel about clothing.
Tell me more.
I love fashion. No, but I like vintage shopping, but I also really like exchanging clothes and having different clothes all the time. I get bored very quickly.
But I don't like fast fashion.
No, I don't. But I really like stores like Crossroads or like vintage stores where you can resell stuff and exchange stuff and get credit or whatever. Because I think it's also just fun and it's creative. But I kind of feel it's similar with Notion. Every few months, I'm like, all right, this needs a refresh.
Yeah.
And it's just because it needs new energy. It's stagnant. It's not working anymore. It doesn't mean you have to throw everything out. You don't have to get a whole new wardrobe, but you can pick 6 items that you're like, these are vibrationally dead to me.
Yes.
Which I feel like really happens with clothing for me.
100%.
I'm like, why did I ever wear that? But then I loved it 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So, or you try something on for a day and you're like, I really thought I was going to like this and I don't like it as much as I thought I would.
Yeah.
And you're bummed. But because I have gotten into a pretty good habit of recycling clothing and like exchanging, I don't feel as precious about stuff. Like, yes, I like nice stuff sometimes, but I'm more into the idea of exchanging and finding a creative way to always kind of have new energy in my closet. And I feel it's the same for Notion for me.
I love that example. That feels really correct. Like, the thing with, I think, Notion or any system is that you start using it and you see where the atrophy points are, where things gather cobwebs. You're like, oh, I don't actually need that support as much as I thought I did. And that can be really cool, right? Of like, oh, maybe I don't actually need to like journal every single morning. And that worked for a while.
Yeah.
But it's not really helping me anymore, and it's kind of
Mhm.
holding me back, and I'm kind
Mhm.
of resenting it. And to just not be precious or make meaning of it,
Yeah.
of like, oh, I'm a shitty person, or I never stick to my word, or like, I'm whatever, I think I'm too busy, blah, 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 and just be like, yeah, it's just not working right now. I can always come back to it.
And
like,
you can try it on and then take it off. Like, I love a 90s trend, but I'm not going to wear a choker. It's just not for me. I tried one on and I was like, I'm just not there. So,
bucket hats, yes.
Yeah.
Chokers, no.
There you go. So tie-dye, for sure.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite things points of feedback that I get is when people thank us for teaching them about Notion. Mm-hmm. Because it is such a flexible, beautiful, intuitive system that I feel like, honestly, nerd bros have like totally bogarted and gatekept from the rest of the world, like intuitive, creative world. And it is so helpful to so many people. And just for like getting yourself organized in a way that works for you, because it's so flexible. And that's the thing, like your systems should work for you, not anyone else. And you're constantly changing, which means your systems are probably going to have to ebb and flow with you. And when you understand the mechanics of how a system works and how you work, then you have infinite possibility to build systems that work in your life, that support your life, that amplify your power. So you can just like be in the world doing your shit, not spending energy like organizing your fucking email inbox with labels.
Yeah.
You know? That's it. That will kill your soul.
Yes. It does. Every Monday for me. For 2 hours.
We gotta find you a new system.
I don't mind it. It's just 2 hours. Put on a good playlist. Well, that's the other thing too, because we use Notion obviously a lot. I've heard a few people who have watched like our workshops or your master classes on Notion, and some people are like, I would say we've turned a lot of people onto Notion, but some people would be like, I love this concept and I just use it on paper. So I think there's something interesting about just like whether you use Notion or not, even though I think everyone should, but it's not for you, it's not for you. Yeah, but it's the frameworks and the concepts behind, I feel like, a lot of these ideas that are really useful.
Yeah, that's so right. I'm so glad you said that, because I think Notion makes it easier for you to implement these frameworks seamlessly with like very little effort. But you could totally make a bullet journal with these frameworks. You could totally make your own paper system with these types of frameworks for whatever. But you don't have to. But good news, we're gonna do a cohort. We're gonna do a live cohort. It's gonna be fun.
Surprise on Notion.
It's called Notion for Baddies. It's gonna be fun.
We tricked you into this episode.
But we just, it's been requested so many times. So much. And,
your voice just went like a different octave.
I know, I kind of got possessed by everyone who's asked for this class.
The ghost of Notion.
Exactly. So we wanted to make something Notion for Baddies. It's going to be a 4-week live cohort where we're going to just tune in 1 hour a week. Honestly, kind of created this for people with ADHD. So everyone else who has a normal brain, great.
It'll probably work even better.
Yeah, you're neurotypical. Awesome. This is going to be like jet fuel for you. My ADHD folks, this is really tailored to your brains and to help you and support you. So that means that you have 1 hour live class. Show up. That's accountability, my friends. And that's going to help you get there and learn. And then we have 30 minutes directly after that for play, where you are going to take what you learned and implement it. So you're going to build. Sometimes you just need to create that container space in order to get things done. Once it's on your calendar, you're going to show up, but showing up is the tough part. And we're going to teach you how to make systems that work for you, not somebody else, and show you examples of systems. And you'll also get access to a Notion template library from everyone in the class who's making templates for their work and for their personal lives.
That's going to be so cool, just that. I can't wait to see what people make.
I know.
Because I already know we've seen so many people from the North make such cool templates that have...
And share them with each other. Yeah. So you'll get access to everyone else's templates, which is going to be really cool. And my favorite thing that we're doing, which is especially for ADHD people, is we often need incentivization to get into action. The option is you get $100 back if you submit a template to the template library by the end of the class. So you have 4 weeks to put together a template and submit it. If you do, I'm going to refund you $100. which is pretty sweet.
That's amazing.
So you get $100 back. If you don't make a template, that's okay. No big deal.
Still get access.
All good. Yeah. Take your time, babe. But if you want a little extra cash in your pocket, just hit the deadline.
And it's also going to be really fun.
It's going to be so fun.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Fun.
This will be a live teaching class, so you'll get my fuck ups in real time and jokes and all the community stuff too. We've got our, something baddies?
Bantering baddies.
We're going to do some bantering baddies, accountability groups and breakout groups, and really make this a non-patriarchal, non-paternalistic teaching experience, which means it's co-creative, fun cohort. And we'd love to have you join us. We're going to get started. This course begins actually really soon, on August 4th, Wednesday, August 4th. So we'd love to have you join us. We'll put the link in the show notes. If you can't join this time, no big deal. We'll make this available another time, probably. But we'd love to have you. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. It's going to be lots of play.
Prep yourself for Virgo season.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
While in Leo season.
Spicy.
Playful. Love it. Confident.
What a combo. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the post.
That's the episode.
That's the episode. Thanks for joining us. We love hearing from you. We love it when you review us. 4 stars, 5 stars? 5 stars. Shoot us a screenshot of your review to the text message below, and you'll be entered to win actually one of our courses, 10x Your Community Constellation, which is worth like $300. So that's kind of cool.
Such a good course.
Yeah.
If you are building a community, if you don't have a community, it helps you learn how to build one from scratch. And also, you talk a lot about how you built the Holisticism community from scratch too.
Yeah. If you want to hear the origin story and exactly how much effort went into it, you'll love that course. And it's very fast. So if you're an ADHD person who has a hard time focusing, I think it'll be really good for you. And that's it. We love you so much. You're the best. Can't wait to hear what you think of this episode. And we'll see you on the internet. Bye.
Bye.